Have you ever had a moment that made you truly feel the power of faith? Imagine waking up on a peaceful morning in California. The soft golden sunlight filters through the curtains, illuminating tiny dust particles suspended in the air. Everything feels impossibly serene. The deep blue sky stretching endlessly above. The crisp morning air carrying the gentle scent of grass and earth. The whisper of a breeze dancing through the trees. But then, as you step onto your porch, a faint trace of smoke brushes against your senses. It's subtle, almost elusive, but it triggers an unexplainable unease deep within. You look up, and to your horror, the familiar sky is no longer its usual brilliant blue. It has darkened into an ominous shade of orange-red, as though an unseen force is painting a silent warning across the heavens. And then it begins. The sky, once so clear and inviting, begins to shift. Slowly at first, then with an eerie inevitability. The comforting blue fades, giving way to a deep, menacing crimson. There is no clear moment when the change occurs. No distinct instant when peace turns to peril. And then, without warning, the fire erupts. At first it is nothing more than a small flicker, a spark barely visible in the vast expanse of the wilderness. But within moments, it grows, it expands, devouring everything in its path. Like a wild beast, insatiable and relentless, it surges forward, consuming trees, homes, entire landscapes, and the lives of those unfortunate enough to stand in its way. This is not the opening scene of a Hollywood disaster film. This is the reality that the people of California face year after year. Scientists and experts attribute these wildfires to climate change, prolonged droughts, or simple human negligence. A single cigarette carelessly discarded, a campfire left smoldering. Rational minds seek logical explanations, offering facts and figures to account for the devastation. But what if the truth is larger than what science alone can explain? What if these wildfires are more than just natural disasters? What if, beyond the physical destruction, they carry a spiritual message, a warning from the unseen, urging humanity to wake up before it's too late? What if the flames are not just burning the land, but also revealing the invisible decay within the human soul? Samuel Harrison, a veteran firefighter with over 20 years of experience, stood at the very threshold of life and death. He was not a man of blind faith, nor was he one to wear religion on his sleeve. He believed in God, but faith had often been pushed aside, buried beneath the weight of duty and responsibility. Over the years, he had battled hundreds of fires, each one a fierce enemy, each one a test of endurance and courage. He thought he understood them well. But on that fateful day, he realized how little he truly knew. That morning, the fire department received an emergency call. An uncontrollable wildfire had ignited near the outskirts of Los Angeles, spreading with terrifying speed. Entire neighborhoods were at risk. Without hesitation, Samuel and his team rushed toward the inferno. The Santa Ana winds roared through the dry landscape, feeding the fire, turning it into an unstoppable force. It moved faster than anything Samuel had ever encountered, devouring miles of forest in mere moments. Then, amidst the chaos, the call came. A family was trapped inside a house on the edge of the burning woodland. Without a second thought, Samuel charged forward, determined to bring them to safety. But fate had other plans. As he fought through the searing heat, a massive wooden beam, weakened by the relentless flames, collapsed from above. A deafening crack. A sharp, splintering pain tore through his chest and arm as he was pinned beneath the wreckage. His vision blurred, his breath caught in his throat, He could hear the distant shouts of his teammates, their voices urgent and panicked. "Hold on to him! Get the stretcher now!" But Samuel was slipping away. The heat closed in around him. The world faded into darkness. Samuel felt weightless, as though he had left his body behind. Floating above the wreckage, he saw himself lying motionless, his team frantically working to save him. Blood pooled beneath him. The distant wail of ambulance sirens echoed through the burning landscape, yet none of it felt real. A strange tranquility surrounded him, a sense of calm that defied the chaos raging below. And then, from the silence, a light emerged. It was not harsh or blinding. Instead, it was warm, soothing. It wrapped around him like a gentle embrace, filling him with a peace unlike anything he had ever known. Without resistance, he drifted toward it. It was as if, after years of fighting, struggling, and running, he had finally come home. And within the light, a presence stood waiting. Silent, powerful, familiar. Jesus! Samuel. The voice did not come from outside. It resonated within him, not spoken in words, but felt deep in his soul. It was not a command, not a question, just a calling. Look closely at what is happening, and listen. Jesus raised his hand, and before Samuel, a vision unfolded. The wildfires raged on, consuming everything in their path. But as Samuel watched, he noticed something strange. Within the flames, faces appeared. Twisted, tormented faces, their features contorted by greed, hatred, fear, and indifference. And then Jesus' voice filled his mind once more. These fires are not only natural disasters, they are fueled by the darkness in human hearts. When people lose faith, when love fades and selfishness grows, they feed the flames from within. Samuel was stunned. He recalled the countless acts of indifference he had witnessed over the years. People shoving past one another in desperation, hoarding supplies, abandoning their neighbors to save themselves. He thought of the homeless left to suffer in the cold, the children neglected by parents too consumed with their own lives, the never-ending pursuit of wealth and status at the cost of compassion. "When did humanity lose its way?" he whispered. Jesus looked at him with sorrowful eyes. "You ask how to stop this fire? The answer is simple. Not through politics, not through technology. The true solution lies in the heart. When people live with faith, love, and kindness, the flames lose their power. Humanity's division, selfishness, and indifference are the fuel. The earth does not burn only because of CO2, it burns because of the fire within the human soul." Samuel trembled. He had spent his life fighting the visible flames, never realizing that the real battle was far greater. Skyscrapers, neon-lit streets. Yet beneath the city's glamour, Samuel saw thousands of disconnected, empty lives. A businessman stepped over a homeless woman without a second glance. A teenager immersed in his phone, oblivious to the world around him. A lonely child in a mansion, with no one truly listening to his heart. Jesus sighed. His eyes filled with sorrow and compassion. "Humanity is forgetting me. They chase after technology, fame, and wealth, placing faith in fleeting things while neglecting their spiritual foundation. When faith wavers, when love is lost, darkness creeps in and destroys. These flames are merely a reflection of that darkness." Samuel trembled. For 20 years he had believed he was fighting the greatest enemy, fire. But now he realized that was merely the symptom. The true crisis ran far deeper. "Can we stop this fire?" Samuel asked, voice quivering. Jesus' response was firm, yet filled with hope. Yes, but not through politics or technology alone. The real battle is within the human heart. When people awaken, when they embrace the light and rekindle love and compassion, the fire will be extinguished at its core. A final vision emerged. A small community near the burning forests. As the fire neared, the people did not flee in panic. Instead, they stood together in prayer, supporting one another, sharing what little they had. And suddenly, rain. A downpour, quenching the relentless flames. This is the power of faith and love. Go back, Samuel. Tell them, warn them. If they do not change, what comes next will be worse than any wildfire they have ever seen. Medical devices and the sterile scent of antiseptic. It felt as though he had just plummeted from an unimaginable height, landing abruptly back into reality. His body ached. His wounds burned with a sharp, throbbing pain. But he could feel his heartbeat, could hear his own breath. Signs of life. Around him, doctors and firefighters stood in anxious silence, their eyes filled with concern. "You're back, Samuel. You're going to be okay." But Samuel knew he would never be the same again. In an instant, everything came flooding back. The vision, the presence of Jesus, the message he had given him. It was not just a fleeting dream, nor a hallucination born from the pain and exhaustion of battle. It was real, more real than anything he had ever known. He was no longer just a firefighter. He had been entrusted with something greater, a mission to awaken the world to a far more dangerous threat than the raging infernos he had spent decades battling. He stared at the stark white ceiling of the hospital room, a sharp contrast to the golden light he had seen beyond the threshold of life and death. The tranquility of that sacred encounter still lingered in his heart. And yet, a question formed in his mind, one that burned as fiercely as the flames he had faced. Where do I begin? How can I transform the embers within the human soul into love, into faith, into compassion? Then he remembered the words of his Savior, the divine whisper that had ignited a new fire within him. Return to faith. Put God first. Only the light of compassion and faith has the power to heal the wounds that darkness leaves behind. From the moment he opened his eyes after the accident, Samuel was no longer just a man who fought fires. He still risked his life to save victims from burning buildings, still ran toward the flames while others fled. But now he carried something even greater, a message, a warning. When humanity loses faith, when love is replaced by greed, division, and selfishness, we are the ones pouring fuel onto the raging fires of destruction. We are the ones feeding the flames, not just in the forests and cities of the world, but in the unseen realm of the spirit. Yet, the opposite is also true. If we choose to let kindness shine through us, if we reignite our faith and embrace love, the fire within us will no longer be one of destruction, but of transformation. A fire that does not consume, but purifies. A fire that brings healing instead of harm. California would continue to face wildfires and droughts. The sirens would continue to echo through smoke-filled streets, warning of yet another catastrophe. The flames would rise, and fear would spread like an unstoppable force. But this time, when the fires came, people would remember Samuel Harrison. They would remember the man who had seen beyond the visible flames, who had stood at the threshold of life and death, and returned with a truth more powerful than any disaster. Through his near-death experience, he had sounded an alarm far greater than the blaring sirens of a burning city. If we do not rekindle compassion, if we do not rebuild faith and love, the fire will never stop burning, neither in the forests nor in the depths of our own souls. Reliable force, reshaping the world with its relentless fury. Science will continue to explain the physical causes, the rising temperatures, the shifting weather patterns, the chain reactions of nature. But do not be blind to the truth that lies beyond the physical realm. Beneath every catastrophe, there is a deeper reality at play. A spiritual force moving through the chaos, whispering warnings that many refuse to hear. We can choose to dismiss it as mere superstition, or we can open our hearts and recognize it for what it is, a call from the divine, a plea to return before it is too late. Samuel Harrison returned, not just as a firefighter, but as a man carrying a story that transcended logic and reason. A story of a moment when he touched the veil between life and eternity and was shown a truth greater than human understanding. And now, that truth belongs to you as well. You, the one reading this, have the power to change. Look inward. See the fire that burns within your own heart. Is it a fire of destruction, of selfishness, hatred, and indifference? Or is it a fire of love, faith, and redemption? Do not wait until the flames of the world have consumed everything before you finally seek faith. Do not wait until all that you love has turned to ashes before you realize what truly matters. The time to act is now. It does not require grand gestures. It begins with the smallest of choices, a moment of kindness, a heart that forgives, a step toward faith. Because in the end, the greatest fire is not the one that consumes forests, homes, or cities. The greatest fire is the one that burns in the depths of the human soul. So I ask you, do you believe that the spiritual world has an impact on reality? Do you believe that faith has the power to change everything? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. And if this message speaks to you, share it. Because somewhere out there, someone may be waiting to hear it.